Welcome back, deep divers. Ready for another deep dive with me?
Always. What are we exploring today?
Well, today we're going to take a look at this article. It's called Why Men Pull Away.
Ooh, that's a juicy one.
Yeah, it promises to reveal all the secrets to this, common dating frustration.
Mm-hmm.
And it even claims to have this secret shortcut to rekindle a guy's interests super fast.
At lightning speed, it says.
Exactly, at lightning speed. Sounds pretty bold,
It
right?
does. Makes you wonder if it can really live up to all that hype.
Right. So one thing that jumped out at me was how the article frames this whole pulling away thing.
How so?
It's presented as this thing that women need to understand and basically fix.
I see what you mean. It's putting the responsibility on the woman to solve the mystery, huh?
Yeah, and it kind of sets up this almost adversarial dynamic right from the start.
Interesting.
Right away it starts with this story about Maggie and Rick.
Okay.
He's totally into her at first, then bam, he just pulls back right when she's falling for him.
Classic. And the article's like, why do men do this?
Exactly, as if it's some unsolvable riddle.
So then what's their big explanation?
Well, they claim that men withdraw not because of anything the woman did,
Oh.
but because of their own anxieties.
Yeah.
About commitment, about potential lifestyle changes, that whole thing.
So it's not us, it's them.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a little skeptical, but I guess we got to hear them out.
Sure, let's see what they have to say.
So they specifically mention this fear that men have of their activities becoming feminized in a relationship.
Feminized. Now, that's where it gets interesting.
Right.
Because it really taps into these broader societal expectations of what it means to be masculine.
You mean it's not just about wanting to keep playing video games with their buddies?
Right, exactly. It's this deeper fear maybe
Yeah.
of losing their sense of self or their identity as a man, you know?
Yeah, I get that. So even if a guy genuinely enjoys doing things that are traditionally seen as feminine, there might still be this pressure to, I don't know, avoid them or downplay them so they don't seem less manly.
Yeah, and whether that fear is justified or just a product of outdated gender norms is a whole other conversation.
Sure.
But the article uses it to try and explain why men might pull away.
Okay, so let's say, for argument's sake, that this is true. What's the article's advice for dealing with it?
Well, they're very clear about two big no-nos.
Oh, okay. Lay 'em on us.
First, don't ever assume it's your fault.
That makes sense.
And second, whatever you do, don't pressure him.
Okay, so don't blame yourself and don't nag him. Got it. What should you do instead?
Their suggestion is to subtly show your interest, but without seeming, overbearing or like you're playing games.
Oh, okay. So show him you're interested, but play it cool.
Exactly. Walk that fine line.
That sounds like a pretty delicate balance to strike. Showing interest without seeming too eager. But isn't that a form of game playing in itself? Withholding your true feelings to avoid seeming too much?
You raise a valid point. There's definitely a tension there.
Right, because wouldn't honesty and openness be a more solid foundation for a relationship in the long run?
Absolutely. Open communication about what you need and what you're looking for.
Yeah.
That's crucial in any relationship. It shouldn't be seen as pressure, but as a way to build mutual understanding.
Exactly. And it shouldn't be about one person always having to adjust their behavior to please the other. Speaking of which, the article then goes on to suggest that women should basically just stay the same carefree, confident, and available woman he fell for initially.
Right. Don't change a thing.
Yeah.
Just keep being the person he was first attracted to.
But how realistic is that long term? I mean, don't relationships involve evolving and showing vulnerability as you get closer? Keeping up a facade all the time just seems exhausting.
It's true. The article seems to be focusing a lot on that initial attraction phase, where maintaining that initial spark is key.
Mm-hmm.
But as relationships go deeper, authenticity, a genuine connection, those should become way more important than just maintaining a certain persona.
So maybe the article's advice is more about short-term strategies, not so much about building a really solid foundation for something lasting.
Possibly. And that's when they introduce their secret shortcut, the magic bullet to rekindle his interest.
Okay, here comes the big reveal. I'm on the edge of my seat. What is it?
It's all about tapping into a man's hero instinct.
The hero instinct. Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So the article claims that men have this deep-seated need to feel respected and needed.
Mm-hmm.
And by allowing them to fulfill this need, we supposedly make ourselves more attractive to them.
Okay, so we're subtly making him feel like our knight in shining armor. I gotta ask, is there any, actual psychological basis for this hero instinct thing, or is it just clever marketing?
That's a great question. There's a lot of debate around these kinds of gender-based psychological theories.
Oh, I bet.
Some people see them as harmful stereotypes,
Yeah.
while others actually find them insightful.
So it's kind of up for interpretation.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
something to think about.
Definitely food for thought for our listeners. Is this hero instinct stuff about manipulating someone, making them feel obligated to be with you? Or could it actually be applied in a healthy way?
Right. It all boils down to intention.
Mm.
If it's about manipulation, then yeah, that's obviously not a good thing. But if it's about recognizing, and appreciating how your partner wants to contribute and support you, then maybe it could be a positive thing.
So appreciating his strengths, making him feel valued, but at the same time, maintaining your own independence, not like you need rescuing,
Right.
more like you genuinely appreciate his support.
Exactly. And then, to make things even more interesting, the article throws in this other point. Men prioritize respect over love. What do you make of that?
Wow, that's a pretty bold statement.
I mean, respect is definitely crucial for any healthy relationship. There's no doubt about that.
Right.
But pitting it against love feels like an oversimplification.
It does, yeah. Like
Yeah.
human emotion is way more complex than that. It's not an either situation.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like men are robots who only care about respect.
And have zero need for affection.
Right, exactly. I think it's more of a conversation starter,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily the universal truth that reflects everyone's experience. But it does bring up an interesting question. Does this idea resonate with you? Is it insightful or potentially harmful? We'd love to hear your thoughts on this, listeners.
As we're talking about all this, it's kind of striking how the article frames this whole men pulling away thing.
Yeah.
Like it's a problem that women need to solve.
Right. Like we need this decoder ring to understand male behavior.
Exactly. It's all about giving women the tools to fix the issue. But what if we flip that script?
Oh, I like where you're going with this. So instead of women constantly adapting to men's anxieties, what if men actually address those anxieties directly?
That's what I'm saying. Imagine if instead of just ghosting, a guy sent a text that said, "Hey, I'm really into you, but I'm also feeling a little freaked out about what this means for, my freedom."
Wow. Not exactly the most romantic text, but right. But it opens up an honest conversation.
Totally. It shifts the whole dynamic from this confusing puzzle that women have to solve to a collaborative effort. But let's be real, vulnerability isn't exactly celebrated in, traditional masculinity.
True. We often teach boys to suppress their emotions,
Yeah.
to man up and hide any vulnerability.
Which, can make it really hard to form deep connections, whether it's romantic or not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how do we change that? How do we create a culture where men feel comfortable actually expressing their feelings, especially about something as loaded as commitment?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It starts with challenging those outdated ideas of masculinity,
Yeah.
showing boys and men that it's okay to be scared, unsure, to need support. Those qualities don't make them less of a man, they make them human.
And those are the qualities that allow us to really connect with each other, right? So it's not about erasing those anxieties completely,
Right.
but giving men the tools to actually process them and express them in a healthy way.
Right. Exactly. When men feel safe being vulnerable, it allows their partners to do the same. It fosters trust and intimacy, which are essential for any relationship to thrive.
I love this shift in perspective. It empowers both men and women, encourages authenticity, open communication.
Right.
It takes the pressure off women to decipher all those mixed signals and encourages men to actually say what they're feeling.
Leading to healthier, more fulfilling relationships for everyone.
Okay, so we've challenged the article's premise, we flipped the script. What other insights can we offer our listeners as they navigate the dating world?
I think it's crucial to remember that each relationship is unique. There's no one-size-fits-all explanation for why someone might pull away.
Right, so we can't just assume that every guy who goes silent is battling commitment phobia or a fear of feminization.
Exactly. And that leads to my next point. Don't jump to conclusions.
Avoid creating unnecessary drama. Good advice. How do we do that?
Communication. If you're feeling insecure or confused about your partner's behavior, talk to them about it. Don't just sit around analyzing text messages and Instagram posts.
Straight up honest conversation. It's so key.
It is. And it's not just about expressing your own feelings. It's also about being open to hearing your partner's perspective.
So listening without judgment.
Yes. That allows your partner to feel safe sharing their vulnerabilities, which leads to deeper understanding and connection.
This has been so insightful. We've really unpacked the dynamics of attraction, communication, and the importance of vulnerability in relationships.
And this is just the starting point, really.
Mm.
The real learning happens when you apply these insights to your own experiences.
So listeners, we want to hear from you. What resonated with you the most? What insights will you take into your own dating adventures?
Connect with us on social media and share your takeaways. And in the meantime, stay curious, stay open, and remember, healthy relationships are a two-way street.
It's not about playing games or manipulating each other. It's about building trust, communicating openly, and embracing vulnerability. You know, as we've been talking about all this, it just makes me think about Maggie and Rick.
Oh, our star-crossed lovers. What about them?
Did they ever, figure things out?
Well, that's the interesting thing. The article never actually reveals their outcome.
Really?
Yeah, which I kind of think is fitting, you know? It emphasizes the unpredictability of real relationships. There's no neat and tidy ending tied up in a bow.
It's not like a rom-com where everything magically works out in the end.
Exactly. Did Rick overcome his fears? Did Maggie give up and move on? We're left to wonder.
So much for those lightning speed results they promised.
Right. It's a good reminder that real life is rarely as simple as these articles sometimes make it seem.
People change, circumstances change, there are no guarantees.
And sometimes, despite our best efforts, things just don't work out the way we hoped.
Yeah, that's true. And that's okay.
It's all part of life.
It's almost like that unresolved ending is a reminder that the journey itself is what matters.
I like that. Learning, growing, figuring things out as we go.
It makes me think about all the times I've stressed over a relationship that clearly wasn't working. And looking back, I can see how those endings were actually beginnings in disguise.
It's all about perspective, isn't it?
Yeah.
Seeing those so-called failures as opportunities for growth.
So after all this, what are some key takeaways you hope our listeners will walk away with today?
I think the biggest one is communication. If you're confused or unsure about something in your relationship, talk about it.
Don't just let things build up or try to play guessing games.
Exactly. Honesty and vulnerability, even when it feels scary, are so important.
And it's not just about expressing your own feelings either.
Right.
It's about being open to hearing your partner's perspective too.
Listening without judgment. That can really strengthen your connection.
It's about building a relationship where both people feel safe and respected.
Where you can truly be yourselves.
And if, after all that, after honest communication and effort, it's clear that the relationship isn't serving you both, it's okay to walk away.
Knowing your worth and having the courage to choose what's best for you. That's not a weakness, it's a strength.
This has been such a great deep dive. We've covered so much.
From decoding dating behavior to embracing vulnerability.
And ultimately prioritizing our own well-being.
It's been a pleasure exploring all this with you.
And with you, dear listeners, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Remember, healthy relationships are built on trust, respect, and open communication.
Go forth and create the kinds of connections you deserve.
Until next time, stay curious and keep those conversations flowing.
See you on the next deep dive.